I don't really look at it like that. So I look at it as, how can we use blockchain and how can we use gaming and how can we use, the the technologies that are advancing to, increase economic viability and fun for everybody worldwide. And this is something that's super important to us. So, I wouldn't say that there's ever really an end goal portion here, so much as a, continuously evolving and growing, pattern of activity.
Improved.
Nothing's ever perfect, right? But the concept of NFT, okay, the concept of the NFT, of you being able to own stuff, um, is, I think, a very important idea, not just in gaming, but in almost every industry. Anytime there is something that is a discrete unit that you would like to be able to demonstrate ownership of, and NFT is perfect for that. I think in the future you're going to see NFTs working their way into real estate, working their way into, many other
Yeah.
industries, because it is the easiest way that we have found to verify ownership in a decentralized fashion, and that's important. What fascinates me the most about NFTs is the fact that you can create something. You can create something that is wholly unique, is, mathematically the only one that exists, and you can upload that in a way that it will be persistent, essentially forever, and then you can give that to somebody else. And you can transfer it. Nobody has the ability to stop you from doing so. And it is done in an entirely decentralized fashion. And that, for me, is what I find most interesting, is the ability, to create and transfer something to somebody that will exist as long as computers continue to function. I think that's cool.
I don't really like cynicism of like I think that there is like for there's so much cynicism around like NFTs and crypto that I just like I don't I think it's really good to be skeptical about stuff, right? Like you should be skeptical that everything's like a scam, right? You should be skeptical that people are trying to scam you. You should be skeptical that stuff's a Ponzi or stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I don't like there's a difference between being skeptical and there's a difference between being cynical, like being like mad and like not wanting to like and being like mad that people are doing it and being like mad like I'm never going to try this and like I'll never like I hate everyone that's doing it. So for me I'm just like yeah, I'm curious about it. Like I will this sounds pretty cool. Like I think this is the best thing that's ever happened for artists probably ever because it's like it's like direct crowdsourcing, like direct to your community, like cuts out then it's basically like GoFundMe for your community, except you can actually make money doing it. It's like everyone like the people who like hate it are like, why don't you like just do Patreon or like and it's like whoever made money doing Patreon? Like no one's ever like you make like $5 on Patreon.
Yeah.
I've I made more money on one NFT drop than I ever made on one I'm talking about one super rare drop than I ever made in 5 years of selling online courses. Like it's and that took years to do versus like it's it's people who say stuff like that I feel like they're I don't want to be rude but like they're kind of delusional about about how big of a shift this is and so like yes there's scams going on but like there's scams and stuff with everything right like it doesn't make this inherently a bad thing it's just, like that's just bad people doing bad stuff. You know, it just makes so much sense. We spend so much time online, we spend so much time doing digital stuff. Why shouldn't there be digital collectibles? Like it, just everything about it make, of course you would want to show off digital things. Of course I want to, like, it makes me excited to spend money buying digital art from digital people. And so for someone like me, I never made like illustrations and stuff to sell. I never made I never made prints to sell to people. So now there's a way for me as an animator to sell and to trade and to make collectibles for people that people are excited about. That is fucking cool, right? That is so awesome. Like, that's never been a possibility before, to like have like trading cards and digital art for people to like put up if they want to in a digital frame that they're excited to pay for. Um, how does that not, as a digital artist, how does that not make you extremely excited? I don't know. Yeah, everything about it is just very cool to me. Stop thinking that you're going to buy one JPEG and you're going to be a millionaire off of that. Like, I'm pretty sure like the punks and apes thing is like, that ship has sailed. Like, I don't think we're going to see another $1 million project again. Maybe we will, maybe there'll be another one, but like, I don't think having one JPEG is going to make you a millionaire again. I think everyone needs to like go back to having fun again. Just have more fun.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because people now treat NFTs as possible way to make easy money quickly and online, which is the perfect way to make money, obviously. But like, I think that what you mean is that people need to start looking at NFTs as the actual art. Like, they buy something because they like whether that's visual or the community, rather than they see this potential to make quick flip and just like never go back to it.
Yeah.
No, I think they're very cool. There's a couple things. So they're not necessarily represented. Obviously, they have the idea of a membership of a fanness, I don't know, fandom in it. At the same time, they act as investment oftentimes. I mean, in a sense that, oh, this one is gonna, like, you know, I just bought the Mbappe token, and when Mbappe is gonna be an even larger, bigger player, then I'm gonna be able to resell it at a higher price, which is, you know, a valid use case for NFTs. I think there's also the idea of utility-based NFTs. Like, okay, cool, because I have an Mbappe NFT in my wallet, I can access some things and I can leverage that, you know, interest of mine to get other kinds of benefits. And also from the creator perspective, if you think about the Mbappe NFT, I don't think Mbappe makes any money, or if he does, very little on that. And also he does only once. Basically, he sells his NFT, maybe he sells 100 of these, but then once they're sold, they're sold. There's no other Mbappe NFT that can happen. With Unlock, one of the core ideas that we tried to bake in from the beginning, which is kind of different from what other NFTs do, is like, these NFT have an expiration date. I'm a member of a community for a month, a week, an hour, a day, a year. It's really up to the creator to choose, with the idea that if I'm still a member, if still a fan at the end, I can renew my membership and then create kind of a long-lasting relationship with the creator in that sense.
Actually, that's a great idea. It makes a lot of sense because it encourages creators to provide value constantly. It's not like a cash grab that you create like one collection, sell it out, and that's it.
Exactly right. It feels like it's more work, and I think it is more work for creators, but it's also more value for them, because it means that they're going to have more revenue as they keep producing content and improving their content in that way.
There's many about community, and obviously there are people who are interested in both gaming and football and something else, so they can connect their passions with one, let's say, NFT or with collection.
Absolutely right. Yes, and it could be music as well. Like, it could be anything. Like a couple of months ago, there was this musician that did a concert in I think it was Decentraland, and there's literally tens or maybe even more than that, thousands of people listening in live. Wouldn't it be amazing if that musician could now go into World of Warcraft and do a concert? And like, you start to really have kind of this metaverse idea of we've got the obviously the physical life, and I think it's very important, but like, all of the virtual worlds that we live in, and honestly, at this point, it's many virtual games, start to combine in one single coherent universe. in which basically, yeah, you know, I follow you on Twitter, and then I see you on World of Warcraft, and I can actually go do some quests with you on World of Warcraft because I follow you on Twitter. Which sounds, again, weird, but these are all part of our worlds, and it's kind of interesting to imagine a world where they kind of interconnect and they can leverage each other's information and data. There's obviously all of the scalability, not necessarily just in the blockchain chain, but like there is a lot of things right now in our world, the Web3 world, that are still strange, or that people who don't play or don't use that don't necessarily understand how that works. And so that's the kind of the work that we have to do on the usability aspect of things to make sure that, okay, it doesn't cost so much gas to actually make a transaction, or you don't have to worry too much about losing your private keys when you play a game. And that's what I would call the scalability issues, like, again, making it easier for us to go from couple tens of million, maybe hundreds of millions of people using these to everyone on Earth. And that's going to take some work from engineers, from designers, from UX. And then maybe the last one, which is, in my mind, one that we don't talk a lot, but is the most important one, is like not losing sight of the goal. I worry a lot in the NFT space. That's pretty obvious that a lot of us are forgetting the goals of decentralization, of openness, of programmability, of transparency, of all of the values that came from Bitcoin initially, but are really very strong in the Ethereum space as well. Like, can we make sure that we're not going to go just rebuild Facebook in some way? And obviously in the NFT space, it's I don't think that battle is already won. I think we are at the mercy of going into a world where we centralize everything in ways that would be very detrimental to the ecosystem and to the dream in practice. I believe, like, in one's life, we don't see the emergence of so many new, what they call kind of general purpose computing devices. Like, the PC was one. The internet is another one. Like, basically the kind of new software and hardware objects that allow you to create anything. And I think NFT is one of these. It's like, it's not just art. It is not just unlock memberships. Obviously, it is. In my mind, it's going to be everything. Like, at some point, your ID card is going to be an NFT. Your diploma is going to be an NFT. Like, I think that's the seeing, witnessing, and obviously being of age, and seeing the emergence of this new what they call general computing, general purpose computing device or object is, for me, the most fascinating. It's like, okay, this starts to exist, and now it opens up the door to a whole different world.
All right.
There's a I think it's Conway's law. Maybe not. There's a researcher, I think in the 80s, that said something really interesting about innovation. Is like, we tend to overestimate the speed of adoption, but we also tend to underestimate the impact of that adoption. And so basically, we tend to think, oh, in 2 years it's going to be amazing. In practice, it's in 5 years, it's going to be much bigger than what we thought would be at the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and if you go back to, like, again, the early days of the internet, because that's what I remember a bit, people were like, oh, it's going to be great. You're going to be able to watch a movie or watch a game. There's actually a Bill Gates interview on the David Letterman show where Letterman, the interviewer, makes fun of him. Say, hey, what are you going to be able to do? He's like, oh, and Bill Gates say, I'm going to be able to listen, not even watch, listen to a baseball game on the computer. And it was like, Letterman is like, well, this is radio. Like, what's cool about this? And then Bill Gates says, you know what? But I'm going to be able to watch it the next day. And the guy's like, yeah, you can already record and listen to the next day. So again, like that shows, like, it's hard to imagine the impact because it's obviously so wide that it's going to reshuffle the cards. But at the same time, it's easy to kind of overestimate the speed of adoption.
For me personally, I'm like, if I look at the overview of the space, like, a lot of the projects that have, like, sort of moved the needle forward or have, like, been here or are being run by people who have been in the space forward, have, like, some credibility and have, been around long enough that you can sort of count on some of the people behind them not going anywhere. Some of these creators were here during, like, the last, horrible bear market, and we're still out here, creating and everything. And so, part of what I buy into is definitely, like, the jockey, not the horse type of strategy. I'm like, I know these people who are working with this project. They're, like, people I trust and know, like, you know, even if the market goes all the way down, at least they're going to be still out here like trying to make something of the project, which I feel like is about as safe as you can get. But dude, I'm also like, I just like to buy, I'm like a collector, man. I just like to buy like dumb things that I like too. And I'm a sucker for like funny things with like funny eyeballs. And so I like, you know, try and be like reasonably smart and intelligent with like most of what I buy into, but then like, you know, leave stuff over here to just buy like, you know, dumb shit with funny eyeballs and, you know, stuff like that. I think music and art are probably like the lowest hanging fruit in terms of like stuff that can change like right now or is like already changing. Like, you know, I feel like the nature of the music industry and the nature of the art industry is like almost never going to be the same, you know, after this point anyway. I feel like people talk a lot about video games, man, but like the video game is like a very difficult, like, you know, nut to crack in terms of like, you know, rolling out a video game that like truly has like a good economy like built into it, you know, based on crypto or NFTs. You know, Axie Infinity is like way out in front of everybody, but you know, they're still trying to get it right as well. And so I feel like, you know, it's going to be a while before we really see it like well incorporated into the video game industry. And I don't know, man, I like to think like movies are going to be a thing too, but like, you know, some of these like, you know, old industries are like so entrenched in like the big money that's been like, you know, propping them up for so long that I think that's going to be tough to unwind from like, you know, the movie industry for a little while. But this is like an indie artist's dream. And I feel like how like all this sort of like unravels for a lot of the institutions that have, you know, historically, you know, held all these industries is you're just going to get a ton of indie artists. And then like once, you know, more and more people see these indie artists making more money that they're probably getting from their contracts and everything, you know, we'll start to see more of a shift. But I think, you know, art and music is happening like right this second. I hate Telegram. Telegram is important. I was gonna say Discord, man. I feel like being like Discord literate is like, you know, Discord for like new people is almost like a foreign language, man. It's like so complicated, and you know, I feel like being Discord literate like just gives you such a huge advantage to like knowing how to maneuver within communities and like communicate with people and, you know, get information. You know, hopefully not get scammed. But I don't know, man, maybe that's like probably the biggest thing. I feel like, you know, community-centered projects are going to be more and more prominent as time goes on. So I feel like knowing how to like, you know, identify good communities, like, you know, get involved in communities that, you know, have like a positive feedback loop. You know, I think a lot of the big brands and like a lot of the big corporations will probably always be here in some capacity, but I think we're going to see like a lot more of like, you know, just bigger and bigger indie projects and like more indie projects, like all spread out, that there are a lot of opportunities for, you know, within all of them. So I don't know, man, maybe like, honestly, I feel like, you know, if I had any advice to anybody who's like interested, it's just like, you got to like sort of roll up your sleeves and like get your hands dirty and just sort of like figure out Discord, you know, figure out who like, you know, the trustworthy people are within the space, like, you know, do your homework and everything. And then it's like you said, man, like we are the people who have been in here long enough, we're still like sort of on the cutting edge of this tech. Like no one really knows how this is going to shake out. But everyone's like really cool and like helpful for people who come in with that like same mentality and just want to like, you know, do cool stuff in the space. So I think that's pretty much it, man. Like beyond like any technical stuff, like I think, you know, if you really want to get involved in the space, you just got to sort of roll up your sleeves and figure out Discord.